Hello and welcome to this video on how to build a Flipkart component with React. This is my latest article from July, about a 7-minute read, and we are going to make a series of flip cards using Code Sandbox and React, and mostly just CSS and a little bit of React logic. So I'm going to bring you step by step through the process. Now, like, subscribe, etc., etc. Read more blog posts. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go to Code Sandbox, and the link and stuff is all in the article. And you want to create a new sandbox, and they give you all these choices of different templates, and they basically give you a start to all kinds of different projects: React, Vue, Angular, Node, servers, Gatsby. It's really pretty good, but we're going to use React, and that'll give us a good start for an application. We only need a few dependencies, which we can add right here. We don't have to add them from the command line. So this is a good, quick way to do applications, prototypes, just do something real quick, see what's up. And it's also probably good if you haven't had any familiarity with using the command line or installing Node on your local machine, things like that. You have the ability to use all the same stuff from the internet here. So create a React project. Now we're down to install dependencies, which are going to be bootstrap, just for basic CSS classes, sass, which is just a superset of CSS, and class names, which allows us to put some conditional logic into class names. Now, none of these are strictly necessary to make flip cards, but for this tutorial, they're just tools I always like to use. So you can just type in what you need, and it'll automatically install all this stuff for us, which is really pretty handy, actually. Which one did I have? Sass, yeah. So, boom, we've got that. And it writes up to your package JSON like it normally would if you had kind of been doing a traditional way. So right off the rip, we're going to change the style file to an SCSS file. See the logo changed to the sass logo. And we have to update this, and also import this bootstrap file from basically from the npm package. And you can also hit this button over here to pop out your project for full screen. I like to do that. And that's that step. Now we're actually already on to refactoring the default project structure, and now we're going to create the flip card component. So we'll just add a new file, flipcard.js, and we can copy this code. And this is just basic bootstrap classes, and these are our own classes here, these flip card ones. But card body, the flex, that's stuff bootstrap gives us. That's just makes things a little quicker, and you're going to use it for, or something similar or some kind of maybe style components. You're going to use something in a project. I used to use style components. Lately I've been doing more with Bootstrap and Sass. I like that combination because Bootstrap uses Sass and you can customize it. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on that at some other time. That's our flip card and data structure for the flip cards. And it explains what everything is, but you need something for our 3 cards. That's going to go on our main app components. And we're going to map over that. So we can just copy, basically just copy this app part. Replacing that. Oh, we got to import the flip card as well. Could just copy the whole thing if you want to. And yep, that's going to let us bring in, we're going to be able to pass down as we map over each card, because this is an array. We could ingest each one of these objects, 1, 2, and 3 here, into the card component one at a time. Use the ID as a key. It's a requirement of when you map over anything and do these multiple returns, you need to have a unique key, so that's why we just supply an ID as a key. Then inside, now we're passing that down. We're passing the card or this data down to the flip card. We'll update that. You can hit Control A, Control V, Control S to do it really quickly. And you can see now hover, click, and focus are placed onto the cards. Of course, these aren't looking that good yet. Kind of see it's very basic. And they're not a flip card, they're 2 separate cards right now. And of course, you'll get more details if you read the actual article. This is all our CSS or SCSS written ahead of time. And CSS allows you to do these nested rules, which are pretty handy. You can do this ampersand, which I'll show you just a quick little thing on in a second here. Remember, Control A, Control V, Control S. Really quick way to do it. And now we have some underlying card structure here, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you get with Sass, you can nest this focus trigger inside of flip card. So that's like, instead of with normal CSS, you have to go .flip card outer .focus trigger, focus trigger focus, and put that inside of it. So the nesting really just is their shorthand. Sure I didn't miss anything. Still good to go. Oh, we're gonna add the Ubuntu font. Looks like I forgot to add this back to the blog post before I publish it. This will be there when you copy the CSS over. This is the background, and importing a Google font called Ubuntu. And yeah, 100% height class. So there's a couple classes that I hadn't added before. And so now we'll deal with triggering the flip. Remember, you saw the back before. Now the back is actually styled behind it by using absolute positioning. We stack them on top of each other, basically. And use rotate. We've rotated the back around the y-axis, or the vertical. We've rotated it 180 degrees. So it's actually pinned right up against the back like that. And then what's going to happen is when we trigger it through hover, click, or focus, we're going to trigger the whole thing. You know, the whole wrapper that's around it is going to spin 180. You can think of it like that. So we'll use inside a flip card. Excuse me. Just had some really good fried rice. This is going to be the new outer component. So basically I just need to take that part right there. Oh, no, that was the inner. Whoops. Whoops. So we gotta paste that over the inner like that. That is going to add the hover trigger class. Now it's always going to have, so the CN function is coming in from class names. It's giving us the ability to apply classes conditionally to that element. So the first argument is going to be the permanent class that never changes, is not subject to any of the conditional logic. Flipkart inner will always be a class. And that Flipkart inner class is relatively positioned, inherits the width from the outer class. That's where it gets its width from. But it's relative, so it houses the front and back of the card, which are this card front and this card back, like I described earlier. The front has the front text that we're seeing now, and the back has the text we'll see soon. So the second argument to the class name function is an object where the key is the class name you wish to apply conditionally, and the value is something that resolves to a Boolean. When true, it will apply that class. When false, it just will skip it. So when the card variant equals hover, this hover trigger class will be applied in addition to the card Flipkart inner class. So the hover card.variant is only true on this first object. So the first card that says hover has a variant of hover as well. So when you hover it, it flips. And you see the back of it like that. So that's how a hover flip card works. And we could go and look. So flip card inner when it has the hover trigger class and we hover it, it rotates this Flipkart inner class 180 degrees. So that's housing the both halves. We're actually rotating the outer div. And then the Flipkart outer is another layer on top of that that kind of just stays static and determines the size of everything. So each layer kind of has its own purpose. So that's the hover. Now we can do the click, and I've used highlighting here to show you which lines need to be taken, but you could also just copy and paste the whole flip card on top of it again, like that. And now what we've done is we've brought in use state hook, and now we're creating a piece of state called show back, and its setter set show back. Starts out as false. We'll have a handle click function where if the card variant is click, when this event is triggered, we will toggle basically that show back boolean. So it's false to begin with. If we click a card and its variant is click, this will become true. And so in our class names function, basically we're using shorthand object notation here. So if showback's true, it'll also get the showback class. It's the equivalent of saying, okay, just to make it abundantly clear, it's the equivalent of writing that. Of course, you don't need to write all that because it's a unhyphenated word and the key is the same as the value, so you can use a shorthand syntax, the same for passing and prompt, basically. And in our styling, we'll see on the Flipkart inner, if it has the show back, it will also, I guess I could have just listed it as another could have also listed it like that, because it is doing the same exact thing. So I believe that would work as well. It doesn't really matter. So now, maybe it does matter. Oh, it's and showback, because it's not it's when we put the showback class on the same element with the Flipkart inner, not a child element. This is applying it to a child element. The and means it's also on the same element. So now it works. Good little lesson right there. So that is the click version, and the focus version is more aimed at accessibility for people that use screen readers, or perhaps they don't use a mouse, they just use the keyboard, so they're relying on whatever element is focused. So we're going to add some more logic to our flip card for this. Control A, Control V, Control F. Should have like a shortcut that does that. That'd be cool. Now, using tab, we can see not only does it flip the card, it also gives it even more highlighting. You can see just the normal state of things gives it a little white outline, but when you highlight it, or focus on it rather, with the focus card, it's got this nice bright outline, and clicking it also focuses it. Now, this is done with the same show back piece of state, except we're using handle focus and handle blur. Focus, we're setting it to true. Blur, we set it to false, only when the card variant is focus, of course. Introducing this logic just lets us have the same component do all three different things, depending on which data we pass it. And we give a tab index of the ID, so that's what means the focus card is a tab index of 3, therefore 3 tabs will get you there. And we're adding I forgot to mention, we're adding the click and the on focus and on blur functions all to this outer card. I didn't mention the on click in the last card example, the click card, but that's where the on click is given the handle click function. And we can look at our styles, and it's the same thing, the show back. Excuse me. And this is what gives it the outline, is the this style here on the outer card. Hover, click, focus. So you can do a lot of things with these cards. That's pretty much the sum of the tutorial. Pretty cool. This was just another example I did. More like an e-commerce thing. Just put a background, little arrow, same logic, put a little product on there. You can do so many different things with these. It's really, the sky's the limit, but I just thought I'd do another example just to show one example of what you can do. I've seen all kinds of different stuff out there in the wild, but that's pretty much it. And make something cool with it. Thanks for watching.